to the Ignite Your Leadership Prowess Online Summit. This series, as you know, has been rolling, and today we have another intelligent, beautiful, and wonderful coach who's going to be helping us get ourselves together, get empowered, and get transformed. My guest today on the online summit is Karolin Lovén. Karolin Lovén is a transformation coach certified in rapid transformation therapy, hypnotherapy, and certified elite mentorship trainer for the life transforming 6 months personal development program, the Elite Mentorship Forum, where she got herself empowered and has got loads of lady leaders, women, female leaders transformed as well. We are going to be having a really wonderful time opening up and having some great nuggets today with Karolin. Karolin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a joy and pleasure to be able to support and hopefully inspire and empower women all over the world who needs that support in order to blossom and to really find a true potential in life. So thank you for having me.
Lovely. Thank you. So let's kick it rolling. I know where you have been coming from. I know how you got yourself this way, but it's not going to do any justice if you don't tell people where you've been coming from and how you got yourself, this well empowered. Not just that, how you in particular transformed your life to get to where you are today, to be changing and impacting lives. What's the background? What was life like before you got the shift yourself?
Oh my God, I don't even know where to start. But to tell you now, I'm 45 years old. I live in Sweden and I'm a single mother of 2 sons who are 6 and 8 years old. And when I was 15 years old, I was in United States as an exchange student, and I had a quite simple car accident there, but the whole year and the experience of having whiplash, and at that time nobody knew what that was, kick-started a quite severe problem in my life. I got a PTSD from that whole experience, and I wasn't aware of that. So from when I was 15 years old, I've had a complete overstressed nervous system, and that has caused me chronic pains, chronic inflammations all over my body. I've been like this in my life, so stressed, and didn't know why this was happening. So for more than 30 years, my life has been pure survival. And to have that high levels of stress in my life, it affected everything: my thinking, my mind, my immunity, my energy levels, my identity. I was in such a poor state 2.5 years ago, and way back. I also been in a wheelchair. I was separated from everything, from myself. I didn't have a true connection with my core self. I was very in a lone place, and it was only about survival and cutting out everything I couldn't overcome because I was so overwhelmed. I had to guard my energies. I had sleeping issues, pain all over, and again I had vertigo as well. So it was a space and time that it was like I wasn't living at all. I was only sometimes, some days I had to think like a minute at a time to be able to manage until my kids went to bed. So I was in a really, really bad state.
Wow, that is really, wonderful share. So what was the success? How did you succeed in this transformational journey to get yourself from one end to the other end? And we can see the beauty in it. That was where I got you from. So what happened?
Yes, I will try to explain that as clear as I can. But what happened was, before I've gone to the, like Western doctors, psychologists, and trying to get help with the physical matter reality, so to speak, my body, how to deal with that, and getting painkillers or antidepressants, trying to deal with things. And it didn't help enough. It didn't help me to transform anything. So I had pretty much given up. And then one day, 2.5 years ago, this thing came by on social media, and it was Peter Sage who has developed this program that I'm now a trainer of, Elite Mentorship Forum, that had an ad about this program, and he talked about quantum physics and how to use energy to empower yourself and to raise your consciousness in a way that can really, really shift everything for you. And that message really, really resonated with me. So I signed up to his program, and that's the best thing I have ever done. I was scared to death and paying money, quite a bit of money from the place where I was on sick leave, money from the government. I was afraid that nothing was going to help, because my story was that nothing did help before. And like, oh, is this program really going to help me? And is it on digital media? And, you know, I didn't know anything about this guy, but I did it because my heart told me that this is something that is very different, and I need to do something very different to get a different result. So I signed up to that program, and in that program, already in module 1, I was blown away by the knowledge of quantum physics. And what that means is basically what it tells us, and the best knowledge we have today about how our world works is an application of quantum physics, is to really understand that everything is energy. Words are energy. My feelings are energy, and me as a human being is also an energetic being. And by learning how to master my energies, I have been able to understand that I create my outer world based on how I master my inner world, how I master my energy levels and my emotions. So already in module 1, I realized what law of attraction is really all about, and how I powerfully can change my reality by mastering my energies and my intentions behind things. So rather than accepting my past and all the limitations I had in me, it was limitations on all dimensions, spiritually, psychology, body, mind, on all levels. I was so limited. I learned that I can change that by choosing a new reality. And that's what I've been able to do. I've been able to create and influence my reality to something much, much better. And that's the short version of how it started. And some of us, you know, to hear that I have created my own circumstances can be a very tough truth to take in, you know, to feel maybe guilty and feel like a victim, like why and how I created this. But rather than staying in that mindset or that thought, I really, really, really decided that I was going to use this for empowerment, because if I have created all that shit in my past, and now someone gives me the opportunity to really, really change my life, I realize how I can change everything and truly be empowered. That's what I really, really, it's the most incredible knowledge I have and that I want to pass on to other people. Everyone should know this. Everyone should have this understanding. It should be taught in schools, so we don't have to be victims of the circumstances, but really to put ourselves behind the steering wheel when we drive our car or our life, and take control or own our life. That's what I've been able to do.
That is so beautiful, so epic. You know what? I just before we go to the next question, I just wanted to highlight a few things that you said, you know, whilst you were talking, and you went down to talk about how we create our reality and whether people should feel bad, or it's a hard pill to swallow to say to us that we create our reality. But I can say in what you have said, I mean, it's a practical experience. It's a thing you're living, right? And then you've shown that we do create our reality, because you were in that state. You can imagine you had an accident. Even if that accident was caused by you or not caused by you, that was created by the circumstance that you put yourself in. And it may be hard for us So that's how it shows that we create the realities that we come to see. And then you didn't stop there. What amazed me most was that you could get from a position of suffering, not understanding who you are, losing your identity, losing personality, and you could from that position make those decisions and say, should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? Should I not go? Should I empower my life? You could stay on benefit forever. You have a very good excuse to be on benefit, to say, I've got this accident. And what people don't know is we are creating our reality by the decisions that we make. So that's another way. And then, you know, so you decided to empower yourself even whilst going through that hardship. You did something differently. You did not stop where you were stopped by circumstances. You moved on, you pushed on, you developed your skills. You know, you don't want to be limited by the things that have come before you. I mean, this is very empowering. I'm just sharing these highlights before I forget, so that everybody listening understands these are the things we need to do to change our lives. We have to be, you know, the creators of our destiny, really, because we've got so much power. And that is one thing you've demonstrated, that we have power to make things happen. It's just the power to decide, you know, and just go forth with your intuition. We wouldn't be sure all of the time, you know, but we just have to follow the guts. Thank you so much. And well done for all that you do. And which is why you are where you are. I found you where you were empowering a lot of people. If you hadn't made the cross, we wouldn't find you, and you wouldn't be on this program today. Thank you. So I'm going to go on and, you know, move on to my next question, which is, so what was the tipping point, you know, when that shift began to happen? When was it exactly?
Well, the shift, as I said, to have that understanding and knowledge about the theory behind things, but then to have actually starting to apply, because we can read a lot of self-development books, we can hear an inspiring talk by someone, but not being able to apply it and live it, as you said, you know, in my life. So when it started to shift was when I started this program, where I was taught some very easy but profound life-changing exercises that I could use in my life. For instance, I didn't mention in the beginning, I also have experienced sexual abuse, not within my family, but as a young age woman amongst so-called friends. And it's been a lot of things. And I also have some experience of trauma in my childhood, in my home. And so it's not just that accident, but that really kickstarted things. And how it changed now, like I have used these tools in the Elite Mentorship Forum program. One of the tools there is called the shoulder exercise. It doesn't make sense if you haven't done the course, but that's what it's called. And I've been able to transcend really traumatic experiences into lessons and understanding and acceptance. And from there also actually having gratitude, and to feel gratitude for being sexual abuse is quite extreme. And that can be like really, you know, it's like the ultimate way of being a victim and being really in a vulnerable, very painful situation. So I wasn't grateful, of course, of the actual, you know, I don't wish that to happen to me again or any woman. And I want to mention this because we are so many women who have to experience abuse or sexual abuse from men in many ways. But what I've understood from that, I forgave myself for not being able to scream more or to, you know, call more for help, because I completely froze in that moment, or in the moments. It hasn't just happened once. So I forgave myself and revisit that, saying I did the best I could with the means I had at that age. So I came into a very nice acceptance of what had happened. And then, as you just mentioned yourself, now for me that have lived in such a mess and drama and pain and struggles for 30 years, that's my new Pandora's box of gifts that I can use to help other people when they need their support on how to transform. I've been through hell and back, so I can really, really understand where people come from. And I'm so grateful for those years of suffering today, because I've been able to use it as my most powerful talent and skill today. So yes, the program itself, the application, not just listening cognitively, but to be able to transcend and change my meaning and understanding of past events, both from a conscious level, but then also I have attended, and also I'm a certified rapid transformation therapist, which is a hypnotherapy. So when we understand that everything is energy and our emotions is actually energy in motion. And if I have a programming and limiting beliefs that runs my mind, and that at that point I was addicted to stressful thoughts, I created a pattern of thinking that I can't do things, I'm small, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm a mess, I'm a victim, and all those chemicals that comes from those kind of thoughts and the emotions that I flushed my body with daily. To start changing that was essential for me to really get a shift, and for me to do rapid transformation therapy on myself, to be able to actually rewire my subconscious mind and erase the patterns of thinking and my programmed identity that was limiting me. I had a very, very small identity that was based on fear, based on the traumatic response of having a narcissistic mother that I always had to please in order to be safe or have any connection. So to erase those limitations in my identity and the limiting beliefs was the next key tool for me that really has just made me blossom. Like I don't even have access to thinking the way I did. I don't even have access. Sometimes, of course, we get hooked. And as I tell all my students or my clients, it's not about being on the horse all the time. We all fall off, we get hooked, life happens around us. And right now, as you know, Mutiel, I'm in a quite challenging situation in life, but I fall off the horse and I get back up again. And I have the tools and the empowerment and belief in myself that I can overcome whatever happens in my life. And I have the skill and ability to choose love over fear in every moment of my life. And that awareness and ability to choose something where I transcend trauma, stress, negativity, and all that was my automatic response to things, that has been key and essential for me to stay so centered and in such a vibrant, healthy space for myself, even though I can have toxic energy around me, stress, challenges, kids that have their needs, exes, my mother, all these things that happens, and I still stay centered and I understand what happens within me, and I can shift my energy and emotions to something that makes it pleasant despite my outer world circumstances. So that is the super skills I've gained from this program, and also as a fact of rewiring my mind to a much better way that serves me and my purpose in life.
Thank you so much for that. That's so really, really beautiful. And, I just could follow that journey and that transformation and almost being there with you every step of the way. Look at how you've just described what happened. That's so magical. And that brings something to my mind. Me understanding, if I have just met you today and you spoke just the way you spoke, I understand very clearly, just the way I know that everybody watching and listening to kind of see how you have transformed and understand that you really do know what it means to be on one end, of life, and then play that journey into transformation. So I'd like you to help me answer this question, because I know a lot of people, we talk about transformation, particularly, in leadership. I love transformation. I read a book, Transformational Leadership. We talk about it. A lot of people say, oh, I know transformation. I understand, but what is the difference really in knowing something and really understanding with regards to transformation, knowing and understanding and being able to actually practically apply it? What's the difference between that, please?
Wow, thank you so much, Mutiat, for asking me that question. I would say it's the thing. It's everything, because as I just mentioned before, we can hear a message and feel a resonance with that message or get inspired, but we don't know how to reach that or how to copy or to live what this person is telling us. It's a lot of advice, but we don't know how to apply them. So to understand something from a cognitive perspective, from the left mind, is one thing. We can read a book, understand what's in there from a cognitive place and intelligence place. But to create lasting transformation, there are like 3 steps. First, we need to understand something on that level, the cognitive level. And then when we emotionally get attached to that understanding, let's say, for instance, a very easy thing. I think most of us know that smoking is unhealthy for us. That's the level of knowing, right? We know it, but knowing it is not enough to change our habits and our behaviors. So the next step, sometimes we experience an emotional, something happens. Let's say I get a stroke or I get cancer. Then I get the emotional motivation to change my behaviors. And knowing that, and maybe for the sake of my children, they see I'm unhealthy, I will want to change my smoking habits because I want to connect with my children, and family connection is important. That can create a change, right? That's very often why people change. But we also know that very often when life changes or we have struggles again, or we are challenged in different ways, we so easily slip back into old habits, right? So being motivated is not enough in order to change ourselves and really become the identity. And this is the 3rd step if in applying the knowledge. It's actually to become the knowledge that we are reading about or hearing about and make it a part of who we are. And that's where I really have transformed. I've become the practice of the teachings I've had. I'm living it, I'm being it, and it's a way of, I don't need to go to a Six Flag Mountain amusement park. Like every moment of my day, it's a choice of awareness and of making choices that are in alignment with my intention and the knowledge I have. So to be so aware and so awake that I live the message I have understood from a book. I'm living it and breathing it, and I'm also now teaching it. And to be able to teach other people things, we really need to embody the words. I have to make the knowledge my own. I can't just read up blah 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 from a book. That doesn't do it. The power I have to come through with the messages and the teaching is because I am these. This information is a part of who I am. It's a part of my identity, how I live my life. And that's the huge difference of knowing, having a book, nice, interesting book in the bookshelf, and actually living it. So many of us, we search for the right answers. We read this book, we read that book, and we stress to find the right answers or to have something to talk about at a dinner, oh, have you read this book and that? But are we actually living it? Are we actually understanding what's in it? And what do I need to do in my life to apply that? It's essential, it's so essential. And also for us to understand and becoming the knowledge, it's so many blockages we can have in our mind that blocks us from being able to do that. So it's both awareness, but also be very aware of what hindrances do we have for ourselves. Like, for instance, I had both fear of success So I didn't even dare to try. And the other thing, I also had extreme fear of failure. I had both. So I was completely stuck, in any direction. So to really dig deep and dissect our psychology and to understand how we put ourselves in the way for ourselves, like we put so many hindrances on us based on either labels that come from other people or my limiting beliefs about myself or fears about who I would become from changing my life. Change can be very, very intimidating for people. And even though we want to change, like we want it, but in theory, but our ego so often put hindrances us because it's hard work. It's like a threat to our ego to change, because how we are wired in our mind and how we work as humans is that we are wired for comfort. We don't want to change. We want the comfort. We want what is familiar to us. That's what our system, our ego and nervous system tells us that is good for us. But when we talk about transformation and growth, we know that we can only grow when we are outside of our comfort zone. So to be able to be used to being uncomfortable and face those fears and understand what's happening is the amygdala that is sending signals to my brain. It hijacks my emotions, and to be able to see what's going on and then do it anyway, even if it's uncomfortable, do it every day. And the power of consistency. I can be someone who is a runner, someone who runs marathon. There's no struggle for them to put their running shoes on and go out running. It's a part of who they are. It's their identity. I'm a non-smoker. I don't smoke. It's not hard for me to choose not to smoke. It's a part of who I am. So the power of identity and the power and the importance of choosing over and over again with the right intention in alignment where the goal, the intention, where we want to be, our true potential and our higher consciousness, our higher self, in alignment with that, make choices in every moment of the day. And every time we manage to do that, we grow every day.
Lovely. That's so beautiful. And I like the fact that, you talked about that awareness stages that actually gets us into becoming who we want to become. First understanding, first knowing, and then understanding, and then be able to apply and become the knowledge that we have, and leave that knowledge day in, day out. And I really do like how you talked about that. And I think that why we are who we are is because always, most of the time, the things we want to become or who we want to become is usually outside of our zones. So we have to reach higher to get them. And the awareness of us knowing that what I want to become is right now inside of me. I need to reach at it to get into where it is for me to be able to go there, which is lovely. So
can I just share a short mantra that really has shifted for me? It's very simple, but we can always say, tune in how you feel. But to be so aware that are the feelings coming from my ego wanting to protect myself from growth, or my wounds, or are the feelings coming from my higher true core self? Like, when in the morning, do I want to go to the gym or not? When you just woke up, probably the answer is no. If I'm going, how do I feel? Do I want to do it? It's so easy to slip out of that. But my mantra I'm using is, I will act bigger than how I feel. I will act bigger than how I feel. So if I'm afraid, I'm gonna act as if I'm not afraid. If I'm tired, I can act bigger than how I feel. I can still act with high energy and being present and so on, and don't have to become those not fake emotions, but the emotions that comes from my shadow self or a low energy place. And that has really allowed me to act and be the best version of myself at every moment of the day. Even on bad days, you know, we can compare. Yesterday I didn't have a good day, but I knew I was doing my very best that day. And this is the next dimension I want to mention: the ability to truly love and support ourselves. I didn't have that support as a child. I didn't have that support from my friends or my peer group. I've been so alone in all this, sorry to say again, but this shit that has been in my life, that it's really, really been a heavy burden for me. And because nobody was there for me, I thought I wasn't worthy of anyone's love or support. And that's the second thing also I want to say: to have the support and the right peer groups and environment when we grow and when we want to change is essential. But for me, that I've learned what self-love really is and how to give that to myself as I become the most loving parent to myself. So I am accepting, and I'm also loving and caring for myself, even at my worst times. And that is so healing. And I've learned how to do that as well, both through the hypnotherapy, but also through this program, Elite Mentorship Program, to really understand, because self-love is not self-care as well, but I didn't even know how to nourish myself and give me that love I've never had as a child. I didn't even know what love was. So how can I even give that to myself? I thought it was going to come to me from somebody else. Somebody else was going to come and fix me. Somebody else was going to come and love me and make me complete. And now I don't need that. It will be lovely. I'm single. It doesn't matter, you know, like, but I don't have to have a man or a partner coming saving me. I am so fulfilled with myself. And I know that the right person will show up at the right time. But to truly be able to love myself and give from my overflow. I know that some people here have, as I have had also, burnout. And so often when we are burnout, it's also very common for women, right? We are so programmed to give and please other people, either if it's men or a family, and we come in and we want to help. It's a part of our female nature. We are nurturing. But if we give from a container that is almost empty, or we are emptying ourselves by giving too much of our energy and not knowing how to fill that up, that's when we reach burnout. And what I've learned through quantum physics is to really, really tune in to the quantum field. You can call it the universe, call the high consciousness around us. And all of us have a torus. It's a magnetic field around us that surrounds our body. And it actually surrounds all beings, not only living beings. Even this table has a torus. Everything has a torus. And this is magnetic field. If you've seen a picture on Earth, you also have, you know, magnetic fields around from the North and South Pole that goes around and through the Earth. Everything has that. And when we are living in a survival mode and we are completely locked down by stress and limitations and really, really low levels of emotions like guilt, shame, blame, anger, those kind of emotions, that energetic field, magnetic field around us is so small and weak. So it's really not supporting our survival. It's rather the opposite. We actually break down. We become a unsentient being. We break down both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. But when we can expand this magnetic field, which I have learned and have the tools and also guide people in meditations on how to put your torus on to really ignite. And I'm using that word, it's igniting your whole vitality and energy around you that is there all the time. It's like your heartbeat. We have a heart. We're not aware of it that it's beating because we're not tuning into it. This is the same thing with the magnetic field around us. It's there, but we have not been taught how to tune into this field around us. And this field is incredible and has changed and transformed me the most. My ability to tap into this metaphysical magnetic energy around me has made me able to fill up my container all day long at any time. So when I feel tired, or before I feel tired, I put my Taurus on. I did that before this call, and I know it brings that glow and vibrance into my life. And to know that I have access to an unlimited source, and we know that universe and the quantum field, the frequency of that is unconditional love. So by me tuning into this emotionally, physically, on a biochemistry level, I'm filling myself up with unconditional love. And that is a healing energy. So every day I can heal myself. I can fill myself up with this frequency that really keeps me healthy and vital, and being able to be so resilient to all these energies around me, because I get my connection and that energy from this source that is just here. It's everywhere. I just didn't know how to tap into it. So I'm living the exact same life now as I did before, a life that ran me out completely. 2 boys that are so intense, an ex that I have issues with, my mother and all that, all the wounds. I still have aches and pain in my body, because it's the chronic inflammation has reduced, but it's the same life, but I'm thriving in it. I'm thriving in the same circumstance. And that's due to me being able to empower myself so thoroughly and so easily. Nobody else needs to fix me. I can fill myself up. And this is why I'm so passionate about what I do, Matja. The information about how to do this should be known by everyone. We don't have to go to of course we need to sometimes go to doctors, but there's so many things we can fix and do for ourselves if we only just knew how and got the right guidance and supportance, both from peer or someone like me who can train you how to really tap into that. But it's so easy. It's not rocket science. It's not having to read and know about quantum physics on a molecular level. It's about applying it, and it really works.
Exactly. That's so beautiful. And you know what, Karolin, I like the fact that, you know, you talked about how you ignite your light bulb yourself, how you glow in your own shine. And yes, this is the ignite your leadership prowess, and that is why we're bringing in people who would help you ignite your leadership prowess, your personal life, your skills, your ability to see beyond where you are today and know that you can be the very self you want to be, the magnificent, the extraordinary female, women, you know, leader that you want to be. Lead yourself, have this shine that you want. And I know that all of these things you're talking about, and we were talking about the awareness, and that comes from a deep level consciousness. Really, people would know, they will understand, they may be able to apply in and now, but if they're not really conscious of what they're doing, if they're not doing it from a place of deep consciousness, and that's deep awareness, it may be hard. That's why people are not consistent. They don't get a result. They quit after doing a few things, and they just can't embody who they want to become. So how do we raise this consciousness, you know, to help to empower us and change the life, transform our lives, you know, by raising our consciousness? How do we do that?
Yes, how we do that, to make it, consciousness is.
And why is it crucial, you know, for consciousness?
Yeah, it's crucial. I'll start from the end. The reason why it's crucial is because it affects this magnetic field around us and who we become, and both how we thrive and live by enhancing. When we have high consciousness, we have access to high elevated emotions, and those emotions empower this magnetic field, right? Just to add on top what we just talked about. But there's so much to understand about consciousness. The easiest way I think I can explain it, David Hawkins is the man explaining about consciousness. He actually has pinpointed 17 levels of consciousness, but I'm going to cut them down to 4 levels of consciousness just to give you a little brief of what I'm talking about. And what those 4 different levels of consciousness does to us, the way I can explain it most easy, it gives us different glasses. I just told you I'm living in the same life, but how I perceive it and how I thrive in it is so different because now I have new glasses on. So the level of consciousness is like putting on new glasses where it's like, oh, this is another way to look at it. So that's what consciousness gives to you. And the lowest level of consciousness we can have is something that Peter Sage, my mentor and trainer, calls to me. It's a level where we have a perception of the world, that everything happens to me without my control. I'm a victim, and it's not a friendly universe we live in. People want to get at me or want to use me, and I have to protect myself, and I'm a victim of the circumstances. That's a quite low level of consciousness, and with that a particular thinking pattern comes. So I can dissect and understand just what words people are using. I can read other people's consciousness, so I know which level they are at. And I also want to say there's no competition here saying that that's a bad level of consciousness. We are all beautiful at the level of consciousness we are at. A seed of a what do you call it? Ahorn, the tree, oak tree, right? An ahorn cannot be judged from not being a beautiful oak tree yet. He's got all the information and all the beautiness in its own level of awareness and consciousness is at. We cannot, is not worse than an oak tree. It's just as beautiful and perfect as it is at that level of consciousness. So this is no judgment whatsoever here. So that's important for me to say. So to me, we are not taking responsibility actually and own our life and our decisions. We blame other people. We blame life for my circumstances. So how to raise our consciousness is to really ask ourselves better questions and start owning our life and our decisions and realize that I'm not a victim. I need to own and take responsibility for my life and the decisions that happens. So that is the first key to transcend to the next level of consciousness. And that's a level of consciousness that most personal development programs bring us at, which is by me. I can make things happen and change my life by really doing the work. And we are running faster, doing more things, and we are doing, and we know that we can shift things and get what we want, but it's a really hard work, right? We really need to work hard, and it's quite exhausting to be in a by me consciousness. We can still have great results coming from that. We can really achieve a lot of things, but very often at the cost of burnout, and that's why I want to point that out. So to come from there to the next level where the Elite Mentorship Forum program takes you to, and I would say that most of my time, I spend my time is through me, a through me level of consciousness. That's when we are in flow and we can trust that the world and universe is a kind place to be. And I don't struggle. I don't try to bend the river to go in the direction I want. I have a flexibility of my mind. I have a huge acceptance of challenges in my life. And at the same time, I own everything, and I have the awareness about my energy, so I can consciously choose to be in a flow rather than getting into survival mode or getting into this achievement mode. Or actually, sometimes it can be useful for me to consciously step back into by me when I really need to get something done, and step into a warrior energy. And really, when I was going to pack down here, for instance, and get my summer holiday organized, that's an state I could choose. And the last level of consciousness is like as me, and that's what most monks and really, really high level of consciousness of people are at, and I'm not there. I can visit those places in deep meditation and so on, but this place where I'm at now, the through me level, is this striving level where I have let go of all control and yet have more control than ever in my life. So the level of how consciousness changes us is, again, when we raise our awareness and our consciousness, is the same thing. We get new glasses on and we perceive the exact same situation very differently, depending on where we are at on these levels of consciousness. And for me to be where I'm at is really serving me, because I then can have a life that is so much less stressful, and it really helps me to be vital and healthy and being present, and actually being a very loving, present mother for my kids. I wasn't able to do that when I was in, to me, the victim mode and completely stressed out.
Thank you so much, Karolin. I can't really thank you enough, because you've shared so much. These are huge nuggets you've shared here. And yeah, I'm just going to highlight the consciousness level you talked about, the by me, to me, which is where nobody should be, to me, by me, through me, and as me. Oh my goodness, that's a sweet space to be in. I can tell you that. So all of these places are the things that, consciousness is one of the things you need to begin to take control of your life. And today, because we're talking about how to transform your life, how to empower yourself through quantum physics, consciousness is really key, playing out in a way that you're so aware and you're using your intuition and you're taking control of life. Otherwise, life's going to take control of you. Thank you so much, Karolin. And we are going to be rounding up this series of the summit we're going through. Karolin, your information is going to be sent to the people in our community. If you're not yet in the Ignite Your Leadership Prowess community, please join us. A message is going to be sent out after these after the series, after every series anyway, every interview done, and people will have the opportunity to get more information about you and how to link up with you and build it, because you've shared so much. I know that lots of people will be willing to want to speak to you or just get to know you more and be able to access that knowledge that you've got, so that they too can be empowered, transformed, and really blow up and shine their lights in the world. Do you have one last word you want to say before we conclude the series today?
Yes, I want everyone here, wherever you're from, whatever you have experienced, to truly understand and take in that transformation is available for you too. It is available for you and it is possible. That's what I want everyone to know, because when we understand and know that, that's the beginning of empowerment of ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So as I said, yes, join us in the Ignite Your Leadership Prowess community, and you'll have access to all of this beautiful nuggets shared by Karolin today. And on that note, this is the end of the show today, and the next series will be coming quite shortly. Thank you for now, and bye everyone.
Thank you.